If you're in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area and need something great and fun to do, why not stop in to Pinball PA? Located in Aliquippa, just 10 minutes from the Pittsburgh airport, there's over 420 games on the floor, 200 some pinball machines, 200 some of your favorite video games. That's Donkey Kong, Asteroids, Space Invaders. You name it, it's there. So check it out, Pinball PA. Go online, see what all is going on there at pinballpa.com. Once again, pinballpa.com. Pinball PA, it's where the action is.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome, episode 110 of Poppitt's Corner. And I'd like to bring back on the show. He's been on a couple times here and there on a couple of put up a couple past interviews that we've done together. But I'd like to bring on my good buddy, the wonderful Mr. Tony Koehl. Tony, how you doing, man?
T, good to see you, buddy. Always a pleasure to be a part of this.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, man.
How you been, dude?
Great. This is once again this pandemic. I know some people didn't do well, but it actually did extremely well for me because I was able to get some time to catch up on a bunch of stuff, and within doing so, I was able to get this album done for my band, which I was very excited about. And I just had the extra time to just, as you know, how much work it is just to get just all the small things where, getting all your social media dialed in, you're getting all the, you want to stream it on all the different platforms, and then we get our stuff copywritten. So it's all like the back end, the tedious work that nobody else wants to do. It gave me the time to do that. And then on top of doing that, it kind of snowballed me to get my website dialed in. And now it's give me the momentum now also to get my art book that we've been talking about. So in July, I'm gonna be starting that as like a birthday gift kind of to me from me. And so, and also through this pandemic, I was able to go through all my portfolios throughout all the years, and I was able to condense and then find some stuff that I thought I lost, as all the different moves and things. So it's been wonderful. I honestly, this is the best I've ever been in my life. I'm and just rising. Truly. I've been doing amazing.
It's good.
I'm grateful. Yeah, for sure.
Man. It's good to see you. Yeah. I really appreciate you coming on. We're going to talk all about the brand new Fishing for Neptune album, which I'll put a link to the Bandcamp and whatnot. To the after the interview's done, I'll put it in so people can check it out there and purchase it. But let's walk me through just the kind of the name itself, and I want to ask kind of the origins of where the name kind of came from.
Well, the two brothers, Mikey and Paul Harriman, so I've known Mikey since third grade. He's my oldest best friend, and then his younger brother Paul. And so these guys always go scuba diving. And when we first started this project, it took us like 3 months to try to find band names, right? Because you want to find a band name. Well, for me, artistically, it's something where I can do a lot of illustrations for, and two, something that people kind of remember, and three, hasn't been taken. And so what ended up happening is when we started this band, we've gone through a lot of bass players, and this one guy who we're coming through, we're kind of talking, and he was kind of asking me about, Mikey and Paul and what they do, what they're into. And so they're both Christians. Their whole family is Christian, which I have no problem anybody's religion, anything like that. So, and I love these guys, and their families are great. And so I was thinking, well, if you're gonna go fishing, why don't you fish for the baddest thing in the ocean, which would be the god of the sea, which would be Poseidon or Neptune, right? It's kind of like the same thing. And I'm like, fishing for Neptune. I like the way that sounded. And so I typed it in, went to to see if anybody had a .com or anything had that, and it was available. And I gave Mikey a call, and he loved it because, like I say, they love fishing and scuba diving. And so it just kind of fit. And yeah, and to me, it's like, aren't we always kind of searching for something bigger and better? So it's kind of my play on words on that as well. So that's kind of where it came from, really.
And we should mention this too, because you have like a yin to your yang almost, as I call it. You're primarily known for being a death metal artist,
Yes.
you know, in extreme music and in general. I'm pretty sure you've done all sorts of extreme, you know, album covers for extreme metal bands and whatnot. But this project, you know, the Fishing for Neptune project, is more of kind of like a funk kind of style. And I'm just kind of curious, you know, for you, you know, where is that kind of correlation? Because I know we're probably all music fans here, right?
Yeah. Well, this is it's for so I love. Okay, let me back it way up. I've always wanted to play drums. When Mikey and I've always wanted since I was a kid, and I was never able to play drums because nobody would want me to. You know, my mom doesn't want me as a kid be playing drums. She's a bartender, and you know, she comes home late and doesn't want nothing to do with that. And so over the years, so in high school, Mikey had an acoustic guitar and I had a little xylophone set, and I just loved the songs. His songs are always really catchy. They were fun. I just connected with them. And after high school, he joined a hip hop group called Sessionated Minds, and I was really excited for him. Like, oh my God, dude, you're in a band. That's really great. That didn't last very long. And so him and his brother and some other of our friends got together and made this band called Longfish. And that was, you know, I could say 14 years ago. So our friend Danny Pagellum was the drummer for that. And so I'd always ask Mikey, well, hey man, why don't you ever play your songs? I mean, nothing wrong with Longfish, but your songs are really, really good. Why don't, so no, it's, you know, it's these other guys have their own riffs and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, well, can you mind if we start playing your songs? 'Cause I love your songs. I want to hear them. And so I'd call my friend Danny Pagellum and say, hey, Danny, would it be okay if Mikey and can I play on your kit? And we would play on their band practice. So I'm like, hey, if I get there an hour early, I can get Mikey warmed up for you. He's like, yeah, no problem. Danny's a sweetheart. And he's, yeah, no problem. And so we used to jam. That's how I started. So we start playing the songs, and then that band broke up. And then I asked Mikey, I'm like, hey, man, if I bought a drum set, we want to kind of continue this on. He's like, yeah, we'll do that. So I asked Danny, because I didn't know nothing about drums. I had no clue about drums. And so I called up my buddy Danny Pagellum and was, hey, man, if you see anything online, because I trust you, I trust your judgment and everything. Here's my budget and I'm working with. And then right away he found something. And then we went down, bought this drum set, and that's kind of, you know, I never stopped. But the issue with me was I started playing drums late in life. I was like in my mid-30s. So I had to catch up. All my other guys, they play their music their entire lives. And I never like to be the weakest link to any project I'm ever a part of. So, you know, I went online. I bought the drum DVDs. You know, I practiced the metronomes. I have a lot. Luckily for me, I have a lot of drummer friends, and they'll always give me wonderful information, things I should be doing, paradiddles. Just, you know, always, you know, first thing, always play with the metronome. That's everybody always said that. So I'm like, all right, no problem. And then, yeah, I say over the years, we just kept building the songs, and this project is for them, which is odd. It's for me, but it's really for them. It's their music because I love their music. I'm the biggest fan. There ain't nobody in the world bigger fans than the Harriman brothers than me. I just love what they do. I saw the potential in it, and it saddened me that these guys weren't like, why aren't you recording these songs? You know, to them, it's just always kind of a goofy thing to do. I'm like, no, these songs are really good. We should be doing something with them. And it was great for me. Like I just heard it, like for the drum. Like I love death metal. I love all the extreme music, but I can't do it. Like I'm not going to spend 8 hours a day to try to, you know, gravity blasts at 300 BPMs. I don't want to do it, man. I mean, there's other amazing drummers. I'll let them do it. Plus there's plenty of other metal bands out there. And this is just kind of, I knew this wasn't going to be like a project where we're going to be going touring the world and stuff like that. And it's really just, I wanted something to do and keep one of my best friends in my life. As we grow older, we get families, you know, everybody starts to drift away. And it was kind of like a fear of mine to lose one of my best friends. I'm like, well, but if I make a band with you, that means we'll always have something to talk about. We'll always have something to work on. And I love them. I love these. These are my favorite people on the planet. And if I have to make any excuse to or whatever I got to do to hang out with them, then this is what I'm going to do. And so they've humored me to make this album. It took a long time. You know, there was a lot of hoops. I've learned a lot. But one of the greatest things these guys has given me, they gave me the gift of drumming. and that's extremely powerful because now I can jam with pretty much anybody and feel very confident, when before I was really nervous and scared. Like I would be, like I said, I shouldn't be playing drums in my mid-30s, and I got, I got way other more important things to do, but it's something I've always wanted to do. I love music. I love all genres of music. And the one nice thing about these guys too, they're the same way. So I feel like our band is like an amalgamation of all our favorite genres put together. And these guys have been so much fun to, like, they've never said I couldn't. We're not the band that says we can't do it. Like, we'll try it out. Like I put double bass in a lot of these songs that they probably shouldn't fit, but it does fit, which is odd. And these guys always allowed me to be creative in my drumming, my writing of the on top of their songs. And what I like about these guys too is that anything that we want to try, we'll try it. Say, hey, how about we try this, or we'll try that, and we'll do it. And if everybody likes it, cool. If not, then at least we tried it, and no one says, oh, it only has to be this way. And these songs are always growing and always moving around. We like say different types of tones and instruments, and it's just like it's definitely a fun project. And that's why I love this project, because I like the idea of it not being a metal band, especially for my first band. Maybe later on, because I'm a lot better drummer now than I was when I first started, obviously. So, but I wanted something also. I wanted a project where I can play it in front of anybody, and I can play it in front of kids. I can play it in front of families. Most of my work, I can't do that. Like, it's extremely difficult for me to show my artwork in galleries because it's so extreme. And after a while, that just gets like disheartening. So I just kind of want something kind of to balance the negative with the, not that it's negative, but some of the images I've drawn are pretty intense. So I wanted something to counterbalance that. And plus, Mikey and Paul, it's not their metal brutal art. It's not their spirit. I'm accentuating what these guys are. I'm trying to bring out them more so than me.
So, but there's a correlation to that with your specific artwork, because that's what you're doing for bands. You're trying to bring out their specific image, within the band, and bring out something, to give the band something that, like, their identity almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to go back to something real quick. When did you guys actually? When did you specifically record your drum parts for this specific album? Because I know you mentioned earlier it's taken you a long time to do this. I know the band's been around. What, 2007? Yeah,
2007. We started 2007. Then eventually over the years, Mikey, he got a recording studio. And so I think we recorded the drums. I just want to say 3 or 4 years ago. For this album.
So you started recording it
because we found our bass player Patrick, he was like the missing link. We have had a lot of great bass players, and they were all great, all wonderful, but they didn't they just didn't last for whatever reasons. And he was the missing link, and so he pretty much he was the sound that we were looking for. And once we had him, then we understood, okay, cool. Then we can for sure now have an album, because we have this guy that finally he was like the missing link that we were looking for all these years.
So you can now kind of move forward within the band and finally record the songs, and now hopefully move on to, I don't know, maybe a second record and of all new batch of material where they haven't taken fucking 15 years to. Because here's the thing, you have your whole life to write your first record.
Right.
Now let's see what you guys can do.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm all about it. But the issue with, so as you know, in the beginning in a band, everybody's got different goals. Everybody's got different intentions. Everybody's got whatever it is. They I'm the go-getter guy.
Every band has one.
Yeah, band has one. So I'm that guy, which is fine. I love it. I don't think I could ever be in a band that somebody else would have more control than me. I couldn't do it. I'm not. I like having control of it. not saying that I control the music. I'm the opposite of that. I want you to be as free as possible to make as what you want, but I want to make stuff. I want to constantly keep making things, because as an illustrator or painter, artist, whatever you want to call it, I hyper focus on one project to bang it out, to get it done. I love contributing to the world of art and music. That's my passion. That's something I've done my entire life. These guys, I don't really understand personally. You have to talk to them about it. I'm ready. I'm always ready. I'm ready right now, but it's up to them. Like, I don't know what to say. I would love to say, hey man, we got, in September we booked out, to record another album, because I am ready. But these guys they have their own goals, I guess.
Well, so is this just a strictly a studio project? There's no touring involved with this specific one.
Sadly,
right?
No. I wish there. And that's what's funny too, because I work in this industry, so I can easily put a tour together, no problem. And then I got a bunch of cool bands we can tour with, but it's up to them. I can't drag these guys along. I mean, I'm down to do it. I mean, I'm down to put all the work in, but it's just up to them. So I love them with all my heart. I love them so much. I made a band with them.
Absolutely.
But it's really up to them, not up to me.
Now, what are you going to do next with this specific album in question? And what I mean by it is, is there, when is it the PR kind of starting now, and you guys are going to like hopefully do more interviews and get it out there, reviews? I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, since we're in the metal world, right? Like, this is a funk project, so like, who do you go to with something like this?
Well, I also do a lot of work in like live art stuff in the EDM circuit and the festival circuit. So I have.
And explain real quick again. I know I sound like a broken record.
No.
Can you explain to the folks listening and watching kind of like what live art is?
So
because it's kind of a brand new concept, even though in the metal world at least.
Yeah. So live art is I go to an event or a show, and I bring a canvas and I paint on the spot. So I pretty much take the environment, the people, the bands, and then I paint when the bands are performing. And so it gives something for the audience. When the band stop, they can come back and see what I'm doing. And then they have an opportunity to actually speak to a legit working artist. And it's also a way to help me contribute, or help me to promote my stuff, contribute back to our community. And if there's any other bands or whatnot that want some work or need some work, they can ask me questions right on the spot. So it's been a win-win situation. But I love all genres of music, so I can't just get stuck in one. It's like eating hamburgers all day. I can't. I like a fish sandwich. I like salad. Anyways, so that's how I kind of feel about with music as well. And so when I go to the EDM, so electronic dance music, or at transformative festivals like Lucidity, any kind of Burning Man event, there, and it's great because they have EDM music, but they have like jam bands, and they'll have like kind of bands similar to mine ish, but there's all different types of music there. So I'm plugged into that as well. And so that's kind of the circuit I wanted to really do with that project, is really just be more in that realm. So, I mean, what I'm going to do, I'm always going to be doing live art no matter what. And so it's just going to be sadly, at the moment, it's just me one thing I can, sell at my booth, really, because I don't know. I mean, I would love to play more to sell the album, but once again, I can't do it without these guys. And if these guys don't want to do it, then I'm just stuck with a bunch of CDs and a bunch of merch that I'm going to sell regardless, but once again, I'm doing the best I can with one person.
Sure, that's all you can do. But yeah. I guess I was strictly kind of merely asking on like, just the marketing for a record like this. I mean, obviously there are PR firms that do this kind of genre of music and whatnot. And so it's just kind of cool that like to learn, you're plugged into all sorts of different musical facets, whether it be extreme music, rock, and now funk. So it's like, where, you know, I wouldn't know the first thing about where to take this. You'd
neither
have to
do
ask
I.
around.
No, it makes two of us because we had we're not on a record label. This is DIY. We actually had to make a record label, Chum Bucket Records, which I couldn't believe nobody had. So it's on that, and really just a labor of love. I look at it as an art project. You know, I'm an artist first before I'm anything else, and it's how I view drums. And also a beautiful thing about this too, it helped me relate to the bands I work with, and it also I'm able to like all my favorite drummers. I can talk shop now. It's a huge gift. I mean, the Harriman brothers gave me an immense gift. Like I'm a better human being because of all this. I know, you know, a lot of hair pulling out and a lot of yelling, not yelling, screaming, but like just a lot of frustration and disappointments and anger and blah blah blah. But it forced me to like level it up, and nobody else is gonna get it done. I'll go get it done. And yeah, and so I rose to the challenge and I did it, and I'm very proud of myself. I'm proud of myself on multiple reasons. One, I learned how to play an instrument like in my mid-30s. Two, I personally feel like it's a very original album. And three, I get, no matter whatever happens with any of us, at least we're recorded. So, you know, when we pass on to the next, we'll go back in the dirt or whatever, at least our children too will have a record of us, you know, something they can always cherish.
Sure. Now I want to ask you this too, and just, you know, with drumming and now art, you know, what does drumming give you that's different from painting or doing artwork in general? Like what, I guess, you know, when you approach, you know, a beat and whatnot, you know, what does that give you compared to, say, you know, kind of drawing a piece of art and having to think in that way rather than thinking about how am I going to make this song a better song rather than.
Well, for me, I love that it forces you to be in the moment, and that's extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. And I never would have understood that unless I was to play an instrument, because you drawing and painting, like some of these drawings and paintings, they'll take up to like 60 hours, like, or, you know, 100 hours, you know, 300 hours, depends, or a day or two. But I can kind of take my time with it. You know, if I mess up, I can erase it or paint over it, or, Command Z or whatever. But not when you're playing live, not only as a drummer too, because then all the responsibility, timekeeping, everything's on me. And once again, I'm the latest in the group. These guys have been playing for twice as long as I have. So I had to catch up. And on top of that, catch up with, family. I was going to school too at the time. We had a couple kids, I got a divorce through all this, all sorts of madness since the beginning of this until now. So the beauty about that too, it's my reward. It's now I can consider myself a drummer. Before I never did. I'm like, I'm just a guy. I'm just an artist that likes to make some noise. But now I can consider myself. But yeah, now I have an album. Like now I've even more so now that I have a CD. That's something physical. Because when I had it on streaming, I felt really good about it. But I'm like, it's not the same. You got to have something in your hands. You have something tangible. And so the next goal too is to get some vinyl is the next goal. So if these do well, all that money is going to go back into making vinyl. That's on my bucket list.
And now that you have a record and whatnot, now do you kind of understand where the artist is kind of coming from more so than before when you would work with them and doing artwork? Because it's a different feeling, like obviously, you look at art as like, it's just a job. It's just, unfortunately, I've interviewed you in the past, and those are your exact kind of quotes.
I'll tell you right now, it's still a job. Yeah.
So, but do you look at it a little bit, your like artwork going forward a little bit more differently?
Absolutely.
With recording a record now.
Yeah. That, and a nice thing about because I did all the artwork I've done for the band is in that layout. So it's like a record. It's a record of the art. No, it's a word. Saying a record is bad, but
it looks like it's a combination of just all. Does it represent each song per page?
No, those were just t-shirt designs and flyer designs over the years. But it just has like the whole not discography. I'm trying to say the whole band's
Essence?
history
Oh,
in there, right? So it made me really respect every band that actually dropped an album, regardless if I like their music or not. I have an immense amount of respect for every musician. That's like another that once again, to me, this is all blessings. These are all amazing lessons. This was something I had to do to really appreciate the musicians I've worked with for over the years. And it's also allows me to be a part of it. Like I've always loved to be a part of the visual, but no, part of my dream is also to do audio. So now I can do both. And that's, for me, that's what a wonderful gift once again.
And going off of this specific point here, when a band kind of does, like, I don't know, nice things for you, do you kind of respect those guys more so because of like what what it takes to make a record? It takes now kind of what it takes to work with artists, work with CD making plants, work with there's a bunch of shit that goes into
the guys mixing and mastering,
sure,
and then going down and trying to, as a band, trying to figure out, all right, what's the final mix gonna be? There's certain nuances. Like me, I always want the drums higher. Like, just make it higher. But but my guys don't. They want the vocals higher. So and it's like, oh, we just have to try to find a sweet spot. Then that was challenging at times too, because I mean, if I had my way, the drums would sound a little different on this album, but whatever. Everybody's happy. And at a certain point, you almost got to get defeated. Like, just move forward. We'll do more, hopefully, on the next album, if there's going to be a next album. But I'm extremely happy way it came out. Every artist is going to nitpick. I can sit and nitpick on this album cover all day, but I'm not going to. I'm just happy that it's done. So, and the layout, and there's a couple little mistakes here and there, but whatever, man. I mean, nothing's perfect. So, and I think what's important is that it's out now, as opposed to sitting there and complaining and be like, oh, we're going to have to fix A, B, and C, and then it's going to take another 6 months to get out. I'm like, I'm over it. So
records are, and I'm going to quote it again, records are never completed. They're always abandoned.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Now kind of what I'm kind of glad to hear you kind of say this, the new Tony Koehl, rather than I'm gonna have to go listen back to some of our previous episodes and see where you were at that particular moment of your life, because this is now a new chapter of Tony Koehl, where he can appreciate, I guess, art and music a little bit further, rather than, because, and where I'm going with this too is now what you're going to see is when you go to shows and whatnot, when you see a CD on there, you're going to be more tempted to buy it because of the amount of work that what it takes to put into it.
Well, I'm already a fan anyways, as you know, so it doesn't especially if another weird thing too, I've also noticed there's some bands that just sound better live, and it breaks my heart when you buy the album. You're like, dang, I'm so wish somehow they could capture that amazingness, but that's a whole different story. That takes special engineers. That's a whole different thing. But just as a token, just as something as you walk away with, you know how we go. I mean, we have a huge CD collection, but I do, and $10 is nothing really, truly, for all these bands that have put their heart and soul into these things, and you're really never gonna make your money back. There's no way. This is a complete labor of love.
Being in a band is a very expensive hobby.
Yes, it is. Extremely.
It's like, and I was talking with my buddy Pat from Old School Metal Records, and he said the same thing about running and owning a record label.
Yeah.
It's the
labor of love.
It's an expensive hobby.
Yeah, I work with a lot of them.
And that you do it because of you love the music and whatnot, and want to just help it grow further. And that's all you can do, man. It's like podcasting. It's like radio stuff.
Yeah.
It's like obviously drawing, doing artwork, right? Playing the music.
But how grateful are we that there's so many people are so stubborn that don't let it die?
No, and how many? I mean, I'm grateful that there are those that aren't stubborn, but they even push it further and do something else, obviously, besides playing in a band. I think that's just super important too, to keep adding to getting the music out there and whatnot, doing the record labels, doing what we're doing here, doing what you do, and doing the artwork, recording bands, putting on live shows, being promoted, all that shit.
Yeah.
Right? It all helps out.
And really, like I told these guys too, it's like at the end of the day, yeah, you could sit and watch 6 hours of Netflix or 8 hours of Netflix, right? And I've done it. I mean, I know I'm guilty of it. It's like everybody else, but I way much rather spend like 6 hours, 8 hours recording or doing something else, because at least when I'm, like I said, when I'm back into the ground being recycled, I want people to be able to type in my name and be like, dang, this guy did some fun stuff, right? He did a lot of things.
Well, or discover you from now either your band, or artwork that you've done for other bands, and say, who was this Tony Koehl? Let me see what else. Oh man, he's done so many other things. Right. Because it only takes that one thing for people to lock onto, and then they discover, they go down the Tony Koehl rabbit hole.
Right. So I'm trying to give him a really fun rabbit hole before I die.
I like that.
Yeah, really is the issue here. But you know, and like I say, it was a long time coming, and very grateful for it. I'm extremely proud. And this is actually, so this took me longer than college. So I'm super proud. So to me, this CD is like my degree. It's like my music degree. I earned it, man. I definitely earned it.
Only it actually means something, right?
Yeah. Right.
So, but can I ask you, with recording the record in general, can we kind of go back to that specific time period for you, and just, you know, your feelings just even getting into the studio and being like,
terrifying.
Like I've never, exactly.
I hate it. I hate to know I suck this bad, and I'm like focused under a microscope. It is terrible. But it made me want to be better. That's it. You know, it's really just locking in on that metronome. And I just tell them, crank that metronome all in my head. I want to be able to have it pulse in my skull. I don't want to hear anything else. I just need to be on time. And luckily we have, you know, Pro Tools and stuff, so things, you know, perfect. But I don't want to be, just a note, there's a lot of things I didn't want perfect on this drums. I don't like perfection personally, and I was telling my guys that too. I'm like, if it hits the rim, or if the snare or whatever it is, I want it to be organic. I don't want nothing punched in. This is what my drums sound, this is how it sounds. I don't want nothing fake for me, for this project. And really just working on tones. And then it was great because I used a few different drum sets once again, I come at music as an artist, or as a painter, or a sculptor, or, you know, illustrator. I believe each song should have its own sound, because it's its own song. So I'm not personally a fan of every song sounding exactly the same. That's boring to me. I mean, that's just to me. I mean, to everybody else, it doesn't really matter. It's just how I live in my little world. And so I made sure like all the songs would have different snares, different kicks. I would even set up the cymbals differently. So I had to think a little harder on certain songs. Certain songs don't need so many cymbals, and some songs need a lot more. And that was the nice thing about having our own studio, that we're able to experiment with a lot of things. And Mikey, the guitar player and singer, he was learning as well to do this. So we were able to experiment a lot. So that was the good part. But the bad part is that there's no deadline. So it took a little bit longer than I'd like to. You know, deadlines are really important. It's something I've learned about this project.
And so what you're saying is you wanted every song to have its own personality, right?
Yes.
So you probably thought of it as different artworks and whatnot, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, this one's going to be green.
This
one's going to be blue.
Right.
So you can equivalate, I guess, how your brain kind of works. It kind of works like that. Like, you want everything to have its own kind of personality to represent what's going to represent best for the song.
Right.
And I got to ask though, with this thinking, did it translate well within the encompass of the full record?
Oh,
so
yes.
Like, one song doesn't sound like it's recorded in a fucking closet, and this one sounds like it's
we use all the same microphones. We all the same mics. It was just different equipment.
Gotcha. But I'm saying, but it still sounds like one cohesive package.
Yes. We had oh my goodness, Todd Burke. I think he mixed and mastered it. I think he worked like Jack Johnson, Ben Harper, a bunch of other people. Mikey, he's Mikey's neighbor. And so once again, this is Mikey and Paul's. They have better ears. You know, they're the ones that are really writing the music. I mean, we all helped compose it, but at the end of the day, they have the final say, right? Because it's really their songs. You know, I'm just a drummer and artist and facilitator, and I'm the person that holds space for them to do all this. But they have, especially Mikey, he has a great ear, and Pollywog, he's our smooth operator. Pollywog is like the technical guy, and Mikey and I were like the big goofball. We're kind of all over the place. So it's a great triad. And then also to note too, because we've gone through so many bass players, my drums, as I was learning how to play drums, I pretty much used their vocal patterns as the bass, because we didn't really have bass players. I mean, and when we had them, like we had them for a little bit, and you know how it goes when you get a new band member, you're like, oh, we got to stop and teach you all these songs. Oh, good Lord. And so when we got Patrick, pretty much all the songs were pretty much set in stone. So when then Patrick came through, we wanted him to like, you do your own thing, like be creative on top of this. We're not, as long as it's in key and it sounds good, but we're giving you free range, and he ran with it, and we were so happy about that. Then once again, all of us, we're all focused in on what we are doing in the band, right? We don't really, not that we don't care about what everybody else is doing, but we're not caught up in that. And I think because of that, it gave us a lot of freedom, and because we all, you know, we're all in it together. We don't want to make it. We're trying to service the songs, as opposed to getting all super flashy and doing all these crazy leads and stuff like that, which is great if they could do it. But we spent so long on these songs. It's like, I almost feel like it's like a fine wine or fine whiskey. You know, took so long to get all these little nuances and things over the years for me anyways, to get these songs to where they're at. Because if you were to hear these songs like 10 years ago and what they are now, because I've always recorded all of our sessions. And I do that because we want these are their songs. I don't know their songs. So how am I going to practice these songs or try to remember what they're doing? Because they're not in my head. So I recorded all our sessions. And then over the years, I went back on it because I was building our YouTube channel, and these songs are completely different. My drumming is completely different with what they are now.
So when you would record these specific sessions, did you ever kind of go back like before this and kind of tweak it a little bit and just kind of hear like, oh, I should do this, I should try this kind of emphasize this specific part in the song? Or was it just like, you just started to look back at it kind of after it was already recorded, after the record was already recorded?
Well, when we're recording these, because I click tracks, and so I obsessed over it. Because one, I'd never want to be the weak, no matter what project it is. If I'm working with a group of people, I work extremely really hard not to be the weakest link. And these guys are already so good, that raised the bar for me. So I had to work really, really hard. And I know because we're recording, there's things I do in the recordings that when I go back now, I listen to the album like, oh man, that little part's really cool. I don't do that now. Like I don't play that one part. I need to remember that one little part, but I don't remember doing it when I recorded. And so like it captured some magic on there. And like prime example would be Longfish. We were recording other songs and I couldn't get it. Like certain songs I just couldn't get. And they're like, hey, let's do long, because we have to do all these songs, do Longfish. And I wasn't even thinking. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And, and I was really relaxed. We played it a bunch of times and it came out amazing. I was like, okay, I need to be like that. I can't be so negative on myself. I can't be so hard on myself. Right. Cause I'm extremely hard on myself. So, and once I heard that song, I'm like, okay, that helped me a little more to loosen up, be cool. And then we eventually got a wonderful recording style. So what I would do in the recording sessions, we would record. So as I was going, we'd only keep the three best tracks, and then we can cut from each of those three tracks, and then kind of put it together. We're gonna do that for a few songs. I do that for all the songs, but a few of them, because as anybody records, there's only so many good takes you can get out of the day before then you get frustrated, you're getting angry, you're rushing it, or you're just you're fighting yourself, that's kind of thing I learned about it. And so yeah, I mean, that's really kind of on that aspect. I didn't have anything written down, you know. I try to videotape me playing the songs, just so if I was to forget how to play certain parts, I like, all right, what patterns am I doing here? But yeah, I had nothing really special on recording the drums on that aspect of. I just did them, you know.
So and I got to ask you too. Do you you know, maybe I'm going to have to ask this question in years going forward when you start playing these songs live.
Yeah.
And are you going to want to kind of focus on playing it how it was on the record?
Yes, absolutely.
Or I mean, obviously you're going to do different things live. That's just the way it goes,
right? Absolutely. But
now make it fun for the audience. Paying money, so you do different things live. But that's what you do, right?
Yeah. But even I mean, because COVID opened up a little bit, and we had band practice a couple times already, and and it's funny because these guys they'll get caught up. Oh, we suck, this and that. It's like, no, man, like we played these songs forever. Like they're ingrained in my brain at this point. And like when we're jamming, we just knocked the rust off a little bit. I mean, if we played the songs like say 3 times in a row, we got it. And really just like after played a couple of times, you're like, oh no, I don't do that. I do this on this song. And so, and then once again, if we're gonna be playing live, I would actually be, instead of playing to a click track, I'd be playing to the album now, which is awesome because. Yeah, that's a lot of fun because then I have the vocals and the guitars and the bass as opposed to just like scratch track and in vocals.
Now I got to ask you, kind of what are some of your favorite tracks to have recorded on it? Not your favorites from the record per se, but I'm talking your favorite like tracks. Just they were just super fun to record.
It would be In the Dirt. That song is recorded live, and it's all not that it was one take. But it wasn't the first take. It's one take, but not the first take. And it's all live. Like we didn't really have to mix it down too much. And once again, like I feel like each song should have its own tone, its own sound. So that one, and then the first song I ever wrote, which kind of hooked me to all this, was Music Notes. That was the first song I ever wrote drums to. And so to be able to finally record it, that was going to be on an album. That was a lot of fun.
And did the band kind of give you more of the freedom on the artwork per se, and kind of building the image for the band, right? Because like I know you, right? You're the kind of guy that like wants, you're very visually speaking, and
right?
And I kind of get the sense that your other guys focus more on what it's going to sound like.
Yes.
So, did you kind of have I mean, I'm sure you said absolutely, right? They gave you more freedom and whatnot. So going off of that point and whatnot, why did you decide to kind of paint a cover such as this in this kind of style? Because this is what, oil paint?
Watercolors.
Yeah.
Well, when Mike and I, in high school, we had an art class together, and that was the first time I ever like had a watercolor set. And so I wanted to kind of give, like, it's just kind of just him and I would, it's kind of just bringing it back old school, really. And once again, this project is for Mikey and Paul. Like, I'm doing this for them. And in doing so, the gift of me pushing this is I get the gift of, once again, having an album, learning how to play drums. I get to hang out with my amazing friends. And I wanted it different than the other covers I do, because primarily, the nice thing about doing my own stuff is that when I work with clients, I have to change a lot of things. I can't do that in watercolors. So most of my work I do for clients is in Photoshop. So if they want something changed, not a problem. Like, all right, cool. We want this background change, easy. But in watercolors, it's kind of there. It's like, oh, this is what it's going to be. So I had the freedom in that. And then there's, I don't know if you see that there's a treasure chest in the side there that's records. So to me, if anybody finds this album on their own, it's going to be a little treasure for them. And then I just love, I think mermaids are super fun. I like the fantasy aspect to it. And then I wanted to kind of make it fun and colorful and bright, because that's what my guys are. That's what this music is. It's fun, it's colorful, and it's bright. and it's not offensive. You can listen to it with your family, which I love, because you definitely can't do that with my artwork, some of my artwork for sure. So, yeah. And I just like to do something a little different because it's for me, it's for my project. I mean, I could went like hyper realistic and made it super epic and this and that, but that's not what this band's all about. We're like a fun party band, so I want the artwork to represent that. And then because we're from Southern California, right next to the ocean, and live on the lake, so the water theme that just fit. And who don't like a mermaid?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what was the hardest part for you personally when making record? Here's where I'm going with this. So let me just kind of educate the masses if I can, right?
Yeah.
So there are things that you have to do when making a record. It's not just recording and you play your parts and that's it, right?
No. Yeah.
So after that part happens, obviously you got to get the artwork for it.
Yeah.
You got to copyright the songs.
Yeah,
At least the smart ones do.
Right.
You gotta, I don't know.
Social media. You got to grab all social media tags.
Yeah, that's way later. But I'm talking, you got to go to the CD making plant, the vinyl making plant, the cassette making plant, whatever it is.
Right.
Place your order because it's going to take weeks and weeks and months to get.
Absolutely.
Right? You have to work with engineers. You have to hit them up and see how they kind of work and what their kind of payment is and this and that and this and that. So now that we've kind of established more details of what it takes to actually make and formulate a record rather than just hitting record and playing and whatnot, what was the toughest part for you personally learning how to do this? Because this is your first record at age what? I don't want to give you
I'm gonna be 45. I'm gonna be 45 July 30th.
Sure.
Yeah.
So under 50,
yeah.
What was the hardest part for you?
Time. Just getting the time to do it. Truly, I got family. I got 2 kids. I have a girlfriend. I got career. That's the hardest part, really. And just because it's not hard. I mean, just sit in front of a computer to copyright stuff isn't hard. Talking to people isn't hard. I mean, I work with bands all the time, and really, it's just time to sit and do it. That's the hardest part. Truly, I mean, nothing was really. I mean, out of my. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy in the world, but I ain't stupid.
You've and we can branch off this too. Your contact list over the years of just you going out and doing live artworks, doing artworks for bands and whatnot. I'm sure you've learned a lot.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure people have told you kind of how to do it and stay away from this and do it like this. And obviously you have to formulate your own opinion around that, right? Because not if, there are things that are going to work better for you than they say would for me. Right?
Yeah.
So,
but you're a big help on this, man. I greatly appreciate it. You're the
I'm
one.
not trying to insinuate
No,
that.
but you were a huge help for sure on this.
Oh, well, thank you. But I'm saying like with your clientele, I mean, that must have played a huge part in just making this less of a headache.
Well, you talk about like
finding the contacts, finding this, finding
that.
Yeah.
So like I went through disc makers and that was kind of a no-brainer because I was the bands that I work with lots because when I work with a band, I have to have the templates, right? So to do the layouts. So I mean, I'm a few hundred bands at this point in time. So most of the time they went to disc makers, and I've done from other ones from other labels, other printing places I've never heard of, but and every time they would give me a CD back from disc makers, I'm like, oh, this is like really nice. So that was nice. That was really cool. And they were, I mean, not to give a shout out to disc makers, man, but they were really easy. They were really easy to work with, to upload all the artwork. You can call them up. They actually called me to make sure everything was, they were super professional. I was going to use a couple other companies, but I just like their website. Their website was really easy to use. And the quality came out great. And then I remember you're saying before about to get duplicated and reproduction or replications.
The differences between them are weird. Yeah. People don't realize that.
I didn't realize that until you said that.
Oh, well, again, I wasn't trying to insinuate.
No, but eventually this is to come out anyways, for sure.
I appreciate it. But I just wanted, but having that clientele again, so that only proves my question as a yes. It did help you.
It helped me immensely
in terms of making this less of a headache for you, because when you make a record for the first time, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
I specifically had nothing. I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right. But with you now that you've had all this experience and working with bands and doing layouts and going to many places, it was probably
it was just like another band to me,
exactly.
really. And it was also great that once again, I have a lot of musician friends, a lot of drummer friends, and so when I was recording drums, I was able to ask, like, what kind of microphones do you use? Like, how do you guys set it up, right? How many microphones do you use for, this album, right? So that was really fun. And then I could talk shop. I love talking shop. Like, one of the coolest feelings is I can now go to one of my, as opposed to just being a fan, but I like your drums, you're so rad, this album's amazing. You're like, no, man, what kind of gear you got, like, what kind of wood you using, what kind of snare you using, like, what kind of pedals, what kind of sticks, we could. So I'm not just like, I'm a little deeper into it now, and I can have like a serious conversation. Who doesn't like talking shop? Like, I don't know too many people that don't like talking shop. I love talking shop. I'm all about talking shop.
I made a whole show dedicated to just talking shop.
Yeah.
So I'm
it's
in
so
the same
fun.
boat, right?
Yeah, it's super fun. And that's like you say, like an expensive hobby. Like, man, drums are so, I didn't never realize how expensive musical equipment is. And one thing Mikey always says is like, you're gonna get what you pay for, right? And I'm like, and so there's a part of me, I'm like, I wish that we were definitely making another album for sure. I mean, I'm never not going to be playing with these guys. I'm going to be playing with these guys until I physically can't play anymore. And I know they got families, and they're old. To me now, I'm like, I have the album, and I'm not going to really pull as much as I used to, because now I have this, and if they guys want to do it, cool. But I feel like I'm a burden to them most of the time, sadly. But maybe that's not true, but that's how I feel. And so, and if I knew that we're going to make another album, I would easily drop like $1,200 on a snare that I want to buy equipment,
But can I ask you though, do you think that comes from like a more of a selfish thing? And here's where I'm going with this is when like you're making an album and stuff, your ultimate goal was to just be on a album, right? Just to be on,
my ultimate goal was to have Mikey and Pollywog's songs recorded. But yeah, I wanted to be on an album for sure. But I would have been on any album.
But your ultimate goal was to have something show for it. You have something for all my hard work, for all your effort and hard work
for sure.
throughout the years.
Yeah, I learned an instrument. Yeah,
right.
So that's not easy to do.
Right. So I could assume that some of that would played into the selfish kind of thing. Because
this is all me. This is all selfish.
Absolutely,
100% selfish. I will be the first guy to admit that. Like, I wanted this. Sure. My guys didn't want it as bad as I did.
But most musicians are like that.
They have to be.
The guy putting in the most work, that's one of the ultimate motivations.
Yeah.
Is you're doing it for you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's
not unfortunate. No. That's fortunate that's the mindset. Because if it wasn't the mindset, nothing would get done. Nothing would be happening. Like, I understand that I'm dying at some point. I almost got in a car accident. That was another thing. I got in a bad car accident. I couldn't believe the music was done. And when I was in the hospital, the first thing I thought of was like, I cannot believe I didn't do the album cover or the layout. Like, I could have died. Like, I was like 5 inches away of death, literally. And then I'm like, the album would have been done, because my guys they would have just sat on it. Maybe their kids at one point in time, 20 years from now, would have found it, and then maybe it'll put something online. But my guys would have done it. I know they would never have done it.
Well, who knows if the internet would be a thing in 20 years? We don't even know.
You're right. We don't even know. Yeah. But no, it's completely me. It's Mikey. I told Mikey, and he's like, he'll match me, for sure. And this is all me. Yeah, I take full responsibility. And you're right, though. And there's nothing wrong with it being selfish. I was just merely saying that, like, that's a huge motivation for people like us. It is for me. Yeah, I want it done. I want something to show for it. Like, I like to make things. This is why I'm on the planet. I'm a creative soul to make stuff. Like, consuming is one thing, but I'd much rather produce and make things for other people to enjoy, including myself. And plus, I feel better about myself when I accomplish things. It just feeds my soul, man. And I know you always do interviews, you talk about your artwork. That's what you're kind of known for. But I kind of, if you don't mind, I just kind of want to stick to the Fishing for Neptune project, because that way I can get more of this specific story out. Because again, I'll probably bring you back on here and we'll probably talk all about your artworks and whatnot. And
get that history again, which again, we're on a new platform, so I want to get it fresh in people's minds.
Absolutely.
But for now, let's stick to this fishing
Of
for
course.
Neptune.
I'd love to. Yeah.
And
Been wait a long time coming to talk about it. I've talked about it all night.
And I just want to ask you, with this in mind and whatnot. So now that it's out and whatnot, what is your next step for it?
For this band?
Yes. What is?
Try to get the guys together and see if they want to do a CD release party. That'd be kind of nice. I mean, considering we have a CD. So that's my next goal, and to do that. And I also have we're gonna do a music video. I've already paid for a music video. So the hard part though is to figure out what song you do a music video for, and what kind of music video. Do you want to just do we're at the beach and videotape it like that? And like I want to do something more creative and more fun. But once again, it has to make sure everybody's on the same page. We got to make sure we're doing, because I would like to make videos truly, but the reality, that's not going to happen. But so my just real small goals would be to get, have a CD release party, would be great. And then 2, to have a music video. That'd be a lot of fun. And then if we could do that, I would like to have that live session recorded, and then have the video recorded. And then we can re-release the CD with like a 4-song demo with some live tracks, and also the video, and extend a thank you list. It's my buddy T on there. My bad. I'm sorry.
Extend this. No, I'm not even.
No, I feel bad. I'm like, I should.
I'm not going to touch that.
But I love you.
But the thing is like, okay, so let's go for the music video. So, if it was, what is in your mind is going to represent best for this in a music video form? So, say you can only do one music video.
Yeah.
How would you encompass this band and the record per se in a music video? Go.
Well, the idea would be have it fun. We have kids, we have children, so they range from like 10 to like 2. So I want to bring the kids involved, and I want to dress them all up in like mermaids and pirates and octopuses, because we're a fun band. And I want that to represent. I want people to watch a video and smile and like feel good. Be like, oh, this is super cool. And I mean, you want to know that they are kids, but they're gonna be all dressed up. And my Mikey, the guitar player, he has a phenomenal gift at cardboard art, which I didn't know until he made his son this robot outfit for Halloween, and it blew my mind. I'm like, dude, if you can do that, then we can work on some other stuff. And that's kind of what it is. I mean, I just want to make it fun and creative, and just really loose and light. There's enough doom and gloom. I've contributed enough doom and gloom too, artistically. And the nice thing about this project is that I can focus on the opposite of the doom and gloom. So, it's bright and happy. And that's what especially Mikey, he's the yin to my yang, right? Like I'm the one that's usually angry and brooding and upset, and Mikey's the opposite of that. So he reminds me not to take it so seriously. He has great perspectives on things, but then I'm the guy that's like, well, we have to get things done, So it's a great balance, and I love him with all my heart. So he knows if I was ever to get angry or not. He knows never to take it personally. He knows that, because he knows the bottom line of everything is that it only comes from love, and I'm only just because I'm out of frustration. It's not out of like anger, or like spite or vehemence or nothing like that. It's just like, oh man, I wish let's get these things done. Just hurry up. Like, come on, man. Like we have like 70 songs. I'm like, how long? Let's get all these things done. Like let's and then there's always like excuses. I'm like, I get it, but the nice thing about that too is like, all right, you're gonna give me an excuse. I'm gonna give you 5 solutions. Boom, 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 boom. Right? And then leaves it up to his court. But because I love him so much, I don't have to. You attract more flies with honey, right?
Well, you only can lead a horse to water.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't make him drink.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. But so that's kind of like the video. And we live in Southern California. We live, there's oceans here, and I live on Lake Mission Viejo, so we can shoot by the lake as well. But we have to line it all up, because, like I said, everybody's got families and stuff like that, and I got to figure out, like, I want to make it. the part of me is thinking like, oh, it'd be cool just our shortest song, just kind of make a video for our shortest song, just so it's kind of like less work, less editing and stuff like that too. But I'm looking forward to doing storyboards. Like I'm gonna do this thing. It's gonna be awesome. I look forward to doing it, and it's really just I want to just work with my friends. That's all it is. It's not gonna be making any money out of this, but I like working on projects, and I've never made a music video. I would learn a lot from that as well.
And I want to ask you, now that you've done this specific album, is there something more that you wanted to do on this that you couldn't? So you're gonna
just record more songs, really.
And you may apply it to say the next record.
Not really. I mean, because
you did the artwork, and I'm not trying to cut you out, but you did the artwork.
Yeah.
You recorded the drums.
I did the layout. I'll give you a laundry list of things I do for this band. I mean, I do the social media, do all the back end stuff. These guys, all they have to do is just record. That's all they do, and they got to, and we all financially pitch in our parts, right? Like, if these guys were to pay me to do this, the layout and all the art, each page has individual illustrations. Sure. It would be in the tens of thousands of dollars, right? And yeah, this is out of all the layouts I've ever done, this has not all my work, but it has action packed, full of illustrations and stuff like that. And so that's another thing I like about this band. We all divided up equally, so no one's really like, not one person's financially paying more than the other. Like they might pay, with money for, like, say, the recordings and whatnot, but I'm doing all the layouts. They don't have to deal with none of that. So it evens out, which is great. But yeah, nothing really I would really change. Only thing I would change is actually just renting out a studio space, and just blocking some time and just going in and just banging it out. I need a deadline. I like deadlines. These guys need deadlines. Let's get in, bang it out. And then if any little tweaks and touches we have to do, we all have Pro Tools, and so we can do all the small stuff, the bells and whistles later on.
Now, and I want to go off of this too, because what I wanted to kind of get to is a label or something like that. So I know you work with a bunch of labels when it comes to the artworks and whatnot. Right? Yeah. Again, with that stuff. But would you want to work with an independent kind of label?
I would love to.
Because
just to be on the catalog, and then when something happens to me, at least there's an opportunity for somebody to keep buying Fishing for Neptune records.
Well, not only that, but the label also, labels also take a huge, load off of our chests and what they do. They do a lot of work. They work with the CD making plants and all that.
I just really want it for distribution. I don't need I don't need a label to do any of that stuff.
Again. That's one part of a label. So I'm saying, like, would you want that on the next thing? Let's say you do a second record. Right? Yeah. Would that be an option for you?
Absolutely. It is an option. I mean, we can so I only did 500 of these CDs just in case if a label does click onto it and wants to re-release it. It's like, oh, this is like the collector's edition, and then I would actually change it out. Because I'm looking at the layout, and there's a bunch of things I'm going to change for the next time around. So it's not going to, I mean, it's going to look like this, but there's going to be a lot more details added to it. But yeah, I'm more help the better, because I'm the only one doing all this. So, which is bizarre to me. I would imagine if you're in a group with people, the other members would want to celebrate it and share it and promote it as much as anybody else. But that's definitely not the truth. That's for damn sure.
Now let's and I want to thank you so much again for giving me a couple minutes of your time, dude.
Oh, brother, anytime, man. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you.
So, but before we get out of here, I always like to get the links. Where can people find the Fishing for Neptune stuff and support not only a great band but a great artist as yourself, and give me all the sketches for Sketch to Soul links.
Oh yeah, all that stuff. Well, the two main ones is fishingforneptune.com. It just links up to a Bandcamp, just because, I mean, once again, if we were going on tour, if this was going to be more serious, I would treat it more serious. But to me, this is just an art project, right? So
I mean, I would love to go on tour. I would love to do all these amazing things that other bands get to do. But, if I was a DJ or if I was just doing it by myself, it'd be done. I'd be gone already on tour to promote this thing. So it's pretty much like a Tony Koehl project, really. And my friends helped me with the Tony Koehl project. So you can go to sketchthesoul.com, and then it has the artwork and stuff like that. And then, but you can buy the album on Fishing for Neptune. And if you don't want to buy the album, if you want to just hear it and rock out to it, you can do it on all streaming platforms from iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, all that good stuff. But if you do buy it, then all the money is going back to make records, because this is all DIY. We're doing it all ourselves. We're funding everything ourselves. So yeah, you should buy the record. I mean, the record's because look, you can buy a digital copy for the same amount as you can do for a physical copy. So why don't you just get a physical copy? Because if I have any fans of my art, this is the booklet with a bunch of my artwork in it. I don't even have a book yet, so this is the closest thing you got to a book. Yeah, and like I say, there's a lot of love and soul put in that thing for sure.
And you also get to hear another side of Tony that maybe you wouldn't get from just seeing your artwork. Right?
Absolutely.
That's the whole other. Again, going full circle here, the yin to the yang. But
yes.
Mr. Tony Koehl, really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much, my friend.
But yeah, another episode of Poppitt's Corner, guys. I'm out. Cheers.